Game Freak seems to have a little bit of a habit of making useless fish Pokemon. We had Seaking in Generation 1, Lumineon in Generation 5, and arguably the worst of them all, Luvdisc in Generation 3. Luvdisc is one of those Pokemon that really looks like it should have an evolution or something like that, and that's what a lot of people thought when we had Alomomola revealed in Generation 5. These two Pokemon look extremely similar, as heart-shaped fish Pokemon really aren't common designs. For whatever reason, they decided to never buff Luvdisc, not give it an evolution, and that is why Luvdisc is one of the worst Pokemon in the game. If you guys are unfamiliar, in this series, we take a look at some of the worst Pokemon in the game and rate them on a scale 1 to 5 based on their offense, defense, versatility, Movepool, and overall viability. If a Pokemon featured in this series gets a low score in all of these categories, then it is deemed to be a bad Pokemon. If a Pokemon featured in this series is a Pokemon you like, I do apologize, but just because it's your favorite Pokemon doesn't mean it's safe from being in one of these videos. If you guys want to see a specific Pokemon featured in this series in the future, make sure you leave a comment down below letting me know what Pokemon that is. But before you do so, please make sure the Pokemon is actually a bad Pokemon, and check out the full playlist to see what Pokemon I've featured in the series so far, so you can see if I've done that Pokemon yet or not. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe as well. And now let's take a closer look at Luvdisc. Luvdisc is a mono water type Pokemon with the abilities Hydration and Swift Swim. This doesn't seem too bad, since although water is the most common type in the game, it's still a pretty good typing, and both of Luvdisc's abilities are actually pretty good. Manaphy, for example, is a great Pokemon of taking advantage of Hydration to cure status, to go for rest in the rain and do stuff like that, while Swift Swim is a phenomenal ability in Pokemon like Mega Swampert and Kingdra to get some fast Pokemon that get some fast KOs. If we take a look at Luvdisc's stat line, however, you'll see why it's incapable of being as good as those Pokemon I mentioned before. Luvdisc has a stat distribution of 43 HP, 30 attack, 55 defense, 40 special attack, 65 special defense, and 97 speed. The only decent stat here, and I mean like it's just decent, is 97 in speed, while the rest of these stats are just abysmally low. If we take a look at Goldeen, for example, Goldeen, which is not a fully evolved Pokemon, has a very comparable stat line to Luvdisc, and Goldeen is just an NFE. Outside of the speed difference, these stats are very comparable, as you can see. Goldeen even gets Swift Swim as well, and has a better offense due to its 67 attack, which is significantly higher than Luvdisc attack stats. You could make a legitimate case that Goldeen, a Pokemon that evolves into Seaking, which is a candidate for being on this series, is better than Luvdisc, which is really sad. And with that out of the way, let's take a look at some of the positives. For the first positive, Swift Swim. That is a great ability. 97 speed in the rain with Swift Swim is actually very, very fast. It's one of the fastest Swim users, in fact. This allows Luvdisc to be modest, which will allow it to do a little bit more damage, or even adamant if you're running a physical set. I even got swept once, as embarrassing as this sounds, by a Luvdisc because all my Pokemon were low. I was using a rain team, I set up the rain, Luvdisc had Swift Swim, and it just KO'd me. It was pretty embarrassing, but I guess that just shows how fast Luvdisc can be in the rain. The next positive, Hydration. It's actually a pretty good ability. Not being status in the rain is super nice, since you can run this set more effectively with Rest. Now, again, having Rest might not be the best thing on Luvdisc due to your poor defenses. You probably can't even take hits to take advantage of Rest in the rain with Hydration, but it's an option, and it's a good option. Maybe not on this Pokemon, but on something like Manaphy, it's fantastic. And that's pretty much it for the positives. There really isn't much going for Luvdisc, unfortunately. On to the negatives, shallow Movepool. Shallow is an understatement to describe how poor this Movepool is. We'll talk about it more later, but its Movepool is horrendous. You also have poor offenses. Your highest offensive stat is like, what, 40? That is pitiful, and you have abysmal defenses to go along with that. You really don't have much going for you, unfortunately. 97 speed is the best thing this thing has, and that really isn't that fast when you consider the fact that most things, not most things, but a lot of good sweeping Pokemon that are considered fast are over 100 speed. Let's take a look at Smogon's recommended set here. This set, I mean, no Luvdisc set is that good, but this is probably one of the best. You have Life Orb Luvdisc with Swift Swim, max special attack, max speed, modest nature because you'll be in the rain, so you can do as much damage as you possibly can. Rain Dance, you can start the rain on your own. Hydro Pump, Ice Beam, and a hidden power of your choice, in this case HP Grass. Now the reason why you have Rain Dance on this thing, it is better to pair it with a Rain Dancer, or a Pokemon that gets Drizzle, I should say, like Pelipper or Politoed. However, this thing doesn't really have 4 usable moves to even put on this thing, so why not just put Rain Dance so you can set up the rain on your own if you really want to. This set does the most possible damage you can do with Luvdisc without being choice fix as well, but its coverage is super limited, like I've mentioned before, due to the Movepool. This set is arguably better in VGC since you can send out a partner with the rain and have the rain up instantly, but still at the end of the day, it's a Luvdisc. Next up we have my useless bulky set. This set is virtually useless, but it's a set nonetheless. We have Luvdisc with Leftovers, Hydration, Max HP, Max Special Attack Modest, Rain Dance, Rest, Ice Beam, and Scald. This is basically the poor man's Manaphy, and when I say poor man's, I mean like super poor man's, because this thing cannot even come close to what Manaphy can do with Rest and Hydration. The only thing similar to it is the typing, ability, and moveset. That's it. You'll probably never be able to pull this off, but it could be super fun if you can. If you absolutely want to use Luvdisc, however, I recommend the first set. And now on to the ratings. In terms of offense, I will give Luvdisc a 1 out of 5. No surprises here really. 30 physical attack and 40 special attack is far too low to do any significant damage. 97 speed in Swift Swim is nice since you do outspeed nearly everything in the rain, but you really can't do any damage, so outspeeding things is nice, but what's the point if you're super fast but doing no damage and have no bulk take hits? And that leads us on to defense. Luvdisc, no surprise, gets a 1 out of 5. This Pokemon might have the worst defenses out of any Pokemon featured in the series so far. Even a lot of resisted hits are enough to hit KO this Pokemon, and its defense stats just really aren't there. Having 65 as your highest defense stat in special defense is not nearly enough to take hits. For versatility, again, no surprise, 1 out of 5. There's not much to do here. Luvdisc has the shallowest move pool that I've ever seen, poor stats to warrant any really set that you can use besides the generic Life Orb set that I showed before, and if you find yourself using Luvdisc, you'll have a very hard time using it effectively. For Movepool, I will give Luvdisc a 1 out of 5. Luvdisc does have a slightly higher special attack and physical attack, which I guess technically makes it a special attacker then, although its special options are only Scald, Hydro Pump, Ice Beam, and a Hidden Power. That's it. You have such limited coverage, it's insane. On the physical side, you have Waterfall, Aqua Jet, which is nice for priority, and Bounce, which really isn't the best coverage option to have, considering your only non-stam coverage option on the physical side is Bounce. In terms of utility, you have Sub, Rest, Toxic, Rain Dance, and Agility. However, all of those moves are pretty much moves that every single Pokemon gets anyway, and Shallow really isn't enough to describe how bad this move pool is. And for Viability, I don't think I really need to explain this much. 1 out of 5. You have abysmal offenses, abysmal defenses, the worst move pool I've probably ever seen, and you're just a horrible Pokemon. The most redeeming factor Luvdisc has is the fact that you're super fast in the rain with Swift Swim, but even at that, it's kind of pointless if you're not doing any damage. This Pokemon is severely outclassed by things like Kingdra, arguably one of the best Swift Swim users out there, and even really low tier Swift Swim users like Ludicolo and Poliwrath due to their higher offenses and their higher bulks and their significantly better move pools. The only advantage Luvdisc has on these Pokemon is it has a higher base speed, but like I said earlier, that doesn't really matter in the rain if you're not doing any damage. For improvements, I feel like they really should have made this Pokemon evolve into Alomomola. Generation 5 was an interesting generation since it was the first generation to not have any new Pokemon that were evolutions or pre-evolutions from previous generations, so that might be why the Alomomola evolution line never came to fruition. Giving Luvdisc higher attack or special attack, one or the other, along with some better coverage moves, could honestly turn this Pokemon to a relatively viable Swift Swim user in the lower tiers. But unfortunately, it lacks the offenses to do so. The speed is there, it just needs that offense. And that is Luvdisc. Is Luvdisc the worst Pokemon? Personally, I think it is one of the worst Pokemon featured in the series so far, with the only one being worse than this probably being Unknown. Let me know what you think of Luvdisc in the comments down below to have a chance to have your comment featured in the next worst Pokemon video, like this comment right here. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe if you haven't already. Have a good rest of your day. I will see you guys next time. Thank you so much for watching, and bye-bye.